only one way I know, and that's gold and silver-related assets, period. There is no other way. And if you're not doing it, you're fools.
Continue, Bob.
I think that the passage in the House, and we will pass the Senate, this bill, which is actually, the bill is monstrous, except for the part about the auditing and investigation of the Fed. And I'm going to write about that for tomorrow's issue, right after we get off the program here. And but anyway, it's a seminal event that this legislation included the auditing of the Fed. And the reason why I think it's a major turning point, we get it passed in the Senate, becomes law, and immediately get the GAO in there and find out who the money's going to, why is it going to them, how are they using it, what are they paying for, what's the collateral, how many foreign central banks, foreign entities of all kinds are receiving funds which are created out of thin air by the Federal Reserve. What are the assets of the Federal Reserve really? And there's just a myriad of things. And we can do that within 6 months. And by the time the next election comes around, hopefully we can throw half the incumbents out of office. It doesn't matter what party they're in. We got to get them out. They're on the take. They're getting paid. How do they get paid? Campaign contributions. By who? Wall Street, banking, insurance, transnational conglomerates, the pharmaceutical companies, etc. These are the big guns in there. And the people who are getting paid off by them, get them out of there. We might have a chance to make this happen. It's our only chance, legally, through the system.
Absolutely. You know, I look at the overall bill, and thank God Ron Paul got that one good part in there, but Obama's approving of it, so you know it's bad. It says Obama administration expressed its approval of the House action. So, again, I wish I would have had more time or I would have gotten to this earlier with Ron Paul to fully flesh it out, because he was talking about how, well, they tried to strip the good provisions out in committee, but he got an amendment in to keep the strong audit the Fed bill part in. So I should have asked Ron Paul how he was even going to vote on this, because he'll vote against something that has something good in it if it has something bad in it. But it did pass. I mean, that's quite a mystery. I'll have to find out here in the next few days. I wonder what the quickest way to find out is, Bob.
Get on the phone and call him.
That's a good idea. Guys,
that
call.
Is the best way, and just say, Ron, what's the good parts, what's the bad parts? Obviously, you voted for it. It's just like the concept, your enemy's enemy is your friend, or at least for the time being. And you got to look at it that way, because we're desperate people doing desperate things. We're entrapped by an evil cabal, and we got to do anything we can to get out of it. First, within the law. Later, if we can't do it that way, it'll be outside the law. And that's just the way things are.
Okay, I do have it from CNN Money. Federal Reserve, the bill would allow Congress, so I was correct, to order the Government Accountability Office to audit the Fed activities. So now the audit goes forward if the Senate passes this, and they're set to pass it because they want the overall package. So to audit the Fed does go forward, Bob Chapman.
Well, again, it's a turning point in our history, a big one. And the doggedness and the will of Ron Paul over the last 20 years have made this happen. If you'd asked somebody 2 years ago whether this was possible, they say you're crazy. And here we are.
Let me expand on that, Bob. What is monstrous to you about the bill? It's obviously hundreds of pages long. The bailouts of AIG Bear Stearns would not be possible, made illegal under this bill. Representative Barney Frank, chairman of the House Financial Committee, said Wednesday, as debate started on the bill, which again passed today on Friday, if a company fails, it will be put to death. But now, as the globalists have consolidated power, they want to be able to do that.
Well, we don't know. I don't know what the final bill looks like. Neither do you. We're reading.
Hey, will you guys pull up the House vote on the financial overhaul bill and see what Paul's vote is? Because he said again, he was talking fast there at the end, and I wish I would have gotten to it earlier. He said, well, we can probably just play the clip again so we can have it actually from him. But he said, yeah, I voted against it in committee because it was bad, but I got the amendment through to make it good. And he said, so we will get the bill to audit the Fed. But then I wonder, because if he disagrees with any part of legislation, he won't go for it just because his rider of auditing the Fed is now in there. I wonder if he voted for this. But regardless, audit of the Fed literally has gotten to third base right now.
And we're going to get a home run on it. And we got to start really leaning. Now that it's been passed, all of these co-sponsors, you got to jump all over them and say, we want the GAO to work as fast as possible. These are the things we need to know. And those things are, how was the money spent? How much was created? What has the Fed been doing in secret? Let's look at all their emails, particularly the ones to other banks and to Wall Street. Who's been getting inside information? And
Bob,
believe me, they get it.
Absolutely, insider trading. Let's play a short clip of Ron Paul and get your take on what he said, because this Washington stuff is very complex. And though I spend all my time researching it, we try to stay on top of the subtleties of the parliamentary procedure. Here it is. Auditing the Fed, give us a report on that.
Okay, I think most know that last week it was put into a bank regulation bill, which is a monster of a bill. When it came out of the committee, I voted against the bill because I don't vote for a few good things when there's a lot of bad things in it. But my amendment won by 42 to 26, which was a major victory. It's on the House floor at this moment. It will be voted on at the end of the day. And the auditing provision was in both the Republican version and the Democratic version. The Democratic version will pass, and the auditing provision will be in there. The real work needs to be done in the Senate. So if anybody knows whether where their senator stands, try to urge the senators to get on that same bill. I think it's 604, and there's 30 in over there. There's been several senators that have put a hold on Bernanke's reappointment unless they have a vote on 1207, the auditing bill, in the Senate.
So, sir, this is a massive victory. I mean, today it looks like they're going to probably pass it in the House. It'll go to the Senate, and then the fight's in the Senate. This is incredible news.
Yeah, it's big. We have no idea, exactly what will happen. There'll be a lot more resistance in the Senate, and the Fed still has time to do all that they do. But nevertheless, I think you're correct as describing this a major victory for the people. The grassroots got this done. I didn't twist arms. I have no clout up here in that sense.
Okay. Bob, I have the complete answer now. I had Ron Paul on earlier, but didn't ask him this question, though that sounded like he was saying he couldn't vote for his own bill because overall the banking package was bad. Here is the Wall Street Journal. Just out, Q&A. Ron Paul explains why he can't vote for his own audit the Fed bill. And it says, author of the amendment to allow the government accountability audit monetary policy decisions made by the Federal Reserve. Mr. Paul said he is proud of the amendment, but would vote for the broader bill, but wouldn't vote for the broader bill to overhaul financial market rules because he objects to a number of its provisions. He spoke Friday to the Wall Street Journal. But he is for his amendment to audit the Fed. That's the only good thing in here. You got a little bit of punch in the turd bowl here. I'm sorry to use that horrible analogy. So he did vote against the bill, but it still passed. So the audit the Fed bill goes ahead now to the U.S. Senate. We need to make sure that provision stays in the U.S. Senate version. Correct, Bob Chapman?
Right. We got to get after the senators, just like Ron said, and get after them, each and every one of them, not just your own senator. You got to bombard them. You got to make them think that there's 80% of the population that votes is for passing 604, irrespective of what else is in it. And I think what Ron did, if he voted against the bill, was he voted